Today I want to start with 3 nutrition fat loss tips. So, use an app to pre-track, get consistent with your schedule, and get into a calorie range versus a target. So first, using an app to pre-track. Why would you want to pre-track your nutrition? Well, first and foremost, I think the most obvious point is it's proactive. And when you're proactive, you can know what you can work with. You give yourself opportunity to be on track because you're pre-planning. You're planning to succeed. And when it's not so on the go, you're less likely to feel like it's an annoying part of what you need to do. So you pre-track it rather than track it as you go, or track it at the end and try to remember everything. And it helps you to keep it a little bit more in a proactive approach, and you're going to be able to reduce the amount of food-related choices you make on a daily basis. And that's important because the more you make choices throughout the day, it seems like it gets harder to make the choice that lines up with your goal. There's this thing that's considered decisional fatigue, and it seems that later on in the day, you're less likely to make a decision, especially the decision that lines up with your goals, especially if you've had to make a whole bunch of decisions throughout the day already. Side note, this is why some entrepreneurs suggest to have the same 3 or 4 colored shirts in multiple variables and multiple sets of them, so that way you don't have to think about what you need to wear that day, and it actually helps you to make less decisions in the day. So they try to automate as much as they can. Now, back to the next point for the fat loss nutrition strategies. Get on a consistent schedule, because if you're eating similar sized meals at similar times, your body can almost use it as a time measure. And when you mess with a reliable schedule, you mess with a reliable hunger signal. You cannot really trust your hunger signals if your body can't get used to a certain pattern. And you might notice this if you start to eat at a certain time every day and all of a sudden don't eat at that time, you start to get the signals because your body was used to it. But you cannot rely as heavily on these signals if you're not currently already on a consistent meal schedule, if you're not already training your body to expect it. And thirdly, get into a calorie range versus a calorie target. So do the math, find a target, but get into a range and not a target. So allow yourself some space above and below what that target is, maybe 100, 150 above or below on a daily basis, so that you're not so stressed about it. And the upside is, if you sort of get into a range and sometimes are more often are below, it leaves you a little bit more space on the weekends if you want to go above a little bit more. So remember, use an app to pre-track, get on a consistent schedule, and get into a calorie range versus a calorie target.